What's up, YouTube? Coming at you with another video. I just recently posted 3 videos that included me at a Subway, defying the mask order, trying to get a sandwich ordered. If you watch the videos, I know they're very long, but I wanted to share every moment of my experience so that way there's full transparency. Anyways, they are long videos. If you get to the end of part 3, I am arrested. I did cut my phone off to make sure that any video I had was saved and not tampered with or deleted by the police officers. Real quick, I do have some new subscribers, so thank you for the support. To all the subscribers, I appreciate you subscribing and supporting my channel. I'm just starting out, so any help I can get is greatly appreciated. A big shout out to FZing Crazy Auditor for reaching out and offering to support my channel on his YouTube platform. I really do appreciate it, and I think it takes a group effort in order to change the situation that's occurring right now in this country. I'm going to try not to make this video too long. I don't want to bore people, but I just kind of wanted to explain after the video cut out what happened from there. So as you could see at the very end of part 3, they came and they told me I was being detained for trespassing. I did clinch up to shut my phone off and was explaining to them that I wasn't trespassing, although I was. I mean, it's one of those things where this whole mask situation has got the world flipped upside down with what people are allowed to do. So outside of that, they tackled me to the ground, you know, using force and violence to detain me for not harming a single person. They cuffed me. They cuffed me so hard, actually, I ended up getting cut on my wrist, my right wrist. They took me over to the front of the patrol car where they proceeded to pat me down. They hadn't searched me at this point. And then they asked me for my ID or my identity, at which time I told them under the 4th article of the Bill of Rights, they needed a warrant. They didn't like that. At that time, they said I was under arrest and decided to search me. I told them I did not consent to any searches or seizures, yada, yada, yada. It didn't take all that long. They had me in the back of the car and on my way to the police station. I didn't say a word the entire ride. They got me to the police station. They did their normal, you know, wand search, metal detector thing, and changed out, took my shoes off, replaced them with the jail shoes, you know, continued to search me. They got me inside and got me shackled up with the chain around the waist and the handcuffs. If you're familiar with seeing prisoners and that type of restraint. At which time they took me over to a machine that I later found out is like the scanners they use at the airport where it takes like a full body x-ray. They asked me to step inside of it. I told them I did not want to, that they needed a warrant if they wanted to search me any further. So they decided to take me over to the counter where I don't know if they get information or whatnot, but they asked me to fingerprint myself, at which time again I told them if they wanted anything from me as far as identity, they would need a warrant. They didn't like that, at which time they attempted to force me to fingerprint by grabbing my hands and prying my fingers open to place my fingers on the fingerprint scanner. I did fight and resist that. That went on for about 20 seconds or so, and it wasn't pleasant. It was painful because they do use extreme force. And then they decided to take me to a what I call the penalty box. When they took me to this penalty box, they didn't ask me to step right this way, sir. They did not say right over here, sir. They did not say we're going to go over here and put you in a penalty box. They decided to attempt to break my fingers, wrists, and arms to get me there. I mean, it was painful. I did call the female CO a cunt, among other things. I called the male CO a piece of shit, among other things. in their attempts to take me to this penalty box. Now, this penalty box I'm talking about is a 6x12 room, a cell, about 12 foot long, 6 foot wide. One end has a toilet, the other end has about a 6 foot bench, wooden bench. And I get to the cell, and there are 4 people already in the cell, 1 laying on the bench, 3 laying on the floor. They stick me into the cell, and right away as I'm looking around, I'm looking at the walls and the ground and everything else, and I see blood, I see shit, I see piss all over the place. The toilet hadn't been cleaned in God knows how long. The feet of a couple of the individuals in the cell were absolutely disgusting, showing that they were probably homeless. So I sat down and just kind of shook my head, was like, what the hell's going on? A little while later, a CO walked by, so I asked what's going on. I was told that I was to be in this cell for 12 hours. Now, over the period of, turned out to be about 16 hours that I spent in this cell the first time, they stuffed 14 people into this cell. None of which were, well, maybe 3 of them were wearing a mask, but other than that, nobody was wearing a mask. We were side by side trying to lay down. At least the first 16 hours, I sat there, but they were stuffing up to 14 people in this cell for up to 12 hours at a time, and I was pissed off already with the way that they handled me at the start of getting me into processing. And as they shoved more people into the cell, I was bitching at the COs, telling them that Governor Sisolak here in Las Vegas has ordered the people of the state not to have any more than 10 family members at their home during Thanksgiving, but yet they are going to shove over a dozen people into one cell, not to mention people that are homeless, that haven't been cleaned in God knows how long, people not wearing a mask, and how that was absolutely bullshit, and they don't fucking give a rat's ass about our safety. And they don't. And I said it in the video at Subway, it's not about safety, it's about control. So anyways, I spent about 16 hours in this penalty box the first time. Over that course, several people begged and begged and begged to get out. I just took the licking, kept on ticking, and after 16 hours, they finally released me. When I basically told the COs as they walked by that at that point I was willing to go along with the program without any fight. I just wanted to get this shit done and over with so that way I could get home to my family. At which time was flipping the fuck out because I was in jail under John Doe, so my family had no idea where I was. I have family in several states, all of which were trying to figure out what happened to me, not knowing if I was dead in a ditch or what. So I got out of the penalty box. I'm in the main holding area for processing, which included 2 sections, one for the male inmates, one for the female inmates. And in this holding area, which was, it wasn't huge, but I mean, it was, a decent sized holding area. They had benches where they had upwards of 30 to 40 inmates sitting on benches next to each other, not social distancing. They were required to wear a mask, which I thought was kind of ironic considering I just spent over 12 hours in a room with 14 people, most of which who weren't wearing a mask. So I'm sitting there waiting. I went through fingerprinting. I got my photo taken. I'm waiting for my name to be called, hoping that I was going to get out of there. And about 12 hours after I got out of the penalty box, I had made a joke towards one of the COs in regards to him telling an inmate that if he had to wear a mask, then so did the inmate. So I kind of muttered, well, I guess we should be wearing a tool belt also. And he asked me what I had just said. I told him, well, you said this. I made a reference to your tool belt. He didn't like that, so they stuck me back into the penalty box, and I was there for another 24 hours with another 12 to 13 people over that period. At this point in the penalty box, I did end up giving up and falling asleep on the floor, which was disgusting. But, you know, anybody who can stay awake for, you know, 24 hours or more, I give you credit, without any help from drugs. One of the things that I found really disturbing also was when they would give you your meal, they would give you your meal without any utensils. So you'd be in this nasty ass room with blood on the walls, shit on the walls, piss all over the place, and no utensils to eat your food. So most inmates would use their hands to eat, and it was absolutely disgusting. Me myself, I took the styrofoam container that they gave me the food in, and I tear it into pieces and use the pieces as a utensil, sort of, the best that I could. But it was a nasty, disgusting, awful situation that nobody should go through. The way they treat people once they're inside, I mean, you think you don't have rights on the outside. Just wait until you get locked up into jail or a prison. I can only imagine. And to go through that experience and understand why there's so much hatred towards law enforcement, you know, is starting to become more clear. This is not a situation I want to go through again, if it's avoidable, but, you know, the future will tell. Anyways, after the second time being in this penalty box for 24 hours, I was taken out, put into another holding cell, where I thought at that time I was getting paperwork done to get me released, when in fact it was a holding cell to transfer me to a maximum security block, which I was being charged with trespassing and failure to obey a public official or government official, one of the two. So I get transferred to the cell block, where I'm in my room for 23 hours a day with an hour of free time if I wanted. I got put in there. The next morning I went to court. I pled no contest to trespassing. Got the failure to obey a government official dropped. The judge said the case was closed, time served, and to be released. I then was put back into the cell, and I sat there waiting to be released, and never was released that night. Around midnight, 1 o'clock, I can only guess because there's no clocks. The COs would walk by about every 20 to 30 minutes to check on the inmates, and as they did, I would holler out, "Why am I still here? The case has been closed. There is no crime. There is no case. You know, I want to be released. What's going on? Can you get my information?" And to no avail, I just ended up falling asleep, I'm guessing around 2 o'clock, to where I was woken up around 10 o'clock in the morning to them kicking me out and getting me on my way home. So I was taken in, arrested Friday night, the 20th, at roughly 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and was there until, what was it, Wednesday afternoon? No, I was there until, Wednesday afternoon. It was the day before Thanksgiving, which reminds me, happy belated Thanksgiving to all. So I spent about 4.5 days in for trespassing and was treated like I was an absolute criminal. And really all I feel I did was try to stand up for my rights as an American, asking them to go through the due process of law and get a warrant or a judge or a court order for my ID. Because under the 4th article, it says that we the people, to be secure in our persons, shall not be violated against unreasonable searches and seizures, and that if they do have probable cause, they need to get a warrant supported by oath or affirmation. But of course, we are in America, where the Constitution and Bill of Rights are used for asswipe to the political elite, and therefore, because we don't fight for our rights, we don't have them anymore. Anyways, at the end of the day, I'm glad to be out. This situation has not discouraged me at all. I only am strengthened in my resolve to try to show the people of this country exactly how tyrannical it has become, and to hopefully start the I don't want to say movement, but try to get the people of this country to at least understand that they have the power and not the government. It's ridiculous that there are so many of us here in America that we're guaranteed life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but we do nothing to fight for it. And you know, it's time that now, especially now with how much information is at our fingertips, we start fighting for it and learn what we can and can't do to get back to a place where the government and police officials are once again our servants, and we are the masters of our life and in being self-governance. So I'm going to cut it short there so that way I don't bore anybody too much, and I hope everybody has a great weekend. Again, happy belated Thanksgiving, and until next time, know your rights, don't be punk to your rights.